Hi there, it's Trisha, and I'm going to share with you the trades that I took on November 13th. I took 5 trades, and I used 2 specific setups that have to set up and be confirmed on 3 different charts before I take my entries. I'm making these videos to show you that you don't have to spend thousands or even hundreds of dollars on an expensive program or system in order to be successful trading the S&P E-minis. You can go to www.easyeMinitrade.com and you can get these 2 setups with the indicators, the trading plan, and checklists for only $49.97. And that is definitely for a fraction of what this information is worth. I have many hours logged in back testing and spent a lot of time compiling the information, and I am willing to share it because I wish somebody would have done it for me a long time ago. I do have quite a few years in the school of hard knocks, as I'm sure many of you do, and I'm like you. I make my living trading, not selling systems and programs. So as I said, I have 2 specific setups that I use. One is taken off of a longer tick chart and one is taken off of a smaller tick chart for strictly scalping purposes. I do, however, use 3 charts: the longer tick chart, the smaller minute time frame chart, and then the smaller tick chart, all for confirmation before I take an entry, whether it's for the setup that usually captures the bigger moves or for my scalp trades. I have to have all 3 charts and indicators in alignment to my specific rules and guidelines, and then I will take the trade. So for this particular setup, it was a scalp trade off the smaller tick chart, and I entered short at 857.50 and I trail stopped out at 853.50 for a gain of 4. I used the pivot method of trailing my stop. That's my preference, and there are many different ways. None are right, none are wrong. It's just what works and fits with your trading personality. This is the longer tick chart. We actually had 2 setups occur on this chart, and I'm just showing the one chart right now with both arrows on it, and I'll show you both entries based on the smaller tick chart. But even once we have our setup on this particular chart, we still have to have confirmation on our other 2 charts, or we do not take the entry. I'm adamant about that. That is what I do, because otherwise you find yourself changing your rules and changing your plan as you go along, and that's when you wind up not being successful, because you don't have any specific guidelines or criteria for taking a trade, and you find yourself being whipped around and stopped out and always feel like you're chasing something. So this was the setup based on the longer tick chart that I just showed you. It did set up on the smaller tick chart, so I did enter, and I entered a short at 853.75, and I trail stopped and was stopped out at 849.50 for a gain of 4 1/4. If you use a different method for trailing your stop, such as the moving average or crossover on an indicator, you would have had a larger profit. But as I've said before, this is how I trail my stops, and you can choose to do it any way you want. I do give 3 specific ways in my information that work for many people, but again, this is what works for me. This is the second entry that was on the longer tick chart, and I did have confirmation on the shorter tick chart and also my smaller minute chart. All my indicators did say that it was okay to take a short, so I entered short here at 839.25, and this was a really nice trade. I like trades like this, obviously we all would, and I was trail stopped out at 830 for a gain of 9 1/4. This was a scalp trade that set up. Now you're probably wondering, I was just taking shorts, now why am I taking longs? Well, on my longer tick chart, as long as I have specific indicators showing the price is above these specific indicators, then I can go long. I'm very specific about that. So as long as it meets my criteria on the longer tick chart and the smaller minute chart, then I can change direction. So I did have a scalp trade set up long here, and I did have confirmation. So I entered long at 831.50, and I trail stopped out at 839 for a gain of 7.5. So again, another really nice trade. And you'll have days like that where you'll be going long and short, but the key is that you look at the longer tick chart to determine which direction you will be going in. You don't ever want to trade against that particular chart, and you'll find that you won't be getting whipped around so much. There are days where if you were to look at a 60-minute chart, that the price is just going straight across the moving average, and so you're not getting much of a direction in either way, but you still have plenty of setups in a up market, down market, or even sideways market, as long as you follow the setups and the plan and the criteria for entering and taking your trades. This was a scalp setup that also set up on my smaller tick chart, and again, my other two charts were in alignment, and I had confirmation that I could take this long. So I entered long at 850, and I was trail stopped out at 853 for a gain of 3. You can see where the circle is there. That's where I was stopped out. Obviously, if you use a different method for trailing your stops, you could have been in for a much larger profit. But I don't change my plans as I'm going along in a trade. I am adamant that I do stick to my plan. So for today, I had 5 trades, and it was a total gain of 28, which was a really great day. I'm really happy about that. And trade number 1 was using the scalp setup, and that was a gain of 4. Trade number 2 was a setup using a longer tick chart for a gain of 4.25. Trade number 3 was using the longer tick chart for a gain of 9.25. And trade number 4 was a scalp setup for 7.5 profit. And trade number 5 was a scalp setup for a profit of 3. So my total gain for the 13th was 28 points. Again, there could have been many other trades that somebody else would have taken, but I stick to my plan, and I typically am taking between 2 and 5 trades per day. So like I said, that works for me, and I hope it works for you. Thanks.